You have to imagine at the beginning, everyone has like butterflies and then
To be a prince or a princess, not knowing what the gender would be, which would be different from protocol.
She said it was a fun behind-the-scenes moment, but hospital insiders are telling a very different story. Could Meghan's viral twerking tale be the latest royal fabrication? The timeline, the masks, the footage? None of it lines up. Let's break down what they're saying. Watch till the end. Hit subscribe for more. Meghan described the moment like it was lighthearted and spontaneous. Just a playful dance caught on camera during what she said was a hospital visit. She shared it as a glimpse into her off-camera life, a way to connect with people through a moment of unexpected joy. She even made it sound like this small, unscripted moment was somehow symbolic, a break from the polish, something real. But almost immediately, people started asking questions. Because while it seemed harmless at first, the more viewers looked at the details, the less it made sense. The setting, the timing, the circumstances around the clip, the dance wasn't the problem, the story behind it was. And that's when things started to unravel.
Tremendous labor of love. I had just recently moved to London and I felt so immediately embraced by the women in the kitchen.
Viewers who paid close attention quickly pointed out that the supposed hospital visit didn't quite add up. According to what we know, this happened during a time when hospital visits were still under tight health restrictions. Many places had mandatory mask policies. Non-essential guests were heavily limited, staff and patient safety were top priority, and yet, in the clip Meghan shared, she appears in full makeup, unmasked, styled like she was walking a red carpet, definitely not like someone who'd just dropped by a hospital quietly and casually. There's also the issue of the timing. Based on when Harry's memoir claimed they were there, the hospital should have been under even stricter rules, which begs the question, how was a film crew allowed inside? Why was she unmasked in an environment where everyone else had to follow guidelines? Nothing about the footage lined up with the public protocols from that period. And once people started asking those questions, things moved fast. Because this wasn't just about a clip anymore, it was about trust. And then came the statement, or rather, the denial. Hospital insiders reportedly pushed back against Meghan's account. Sources claim no such filming was officially approved.
The truth was, I wasn't sure that I belonged. I was so nervous. Oh, I doubted myself, and I wondered.
There's no record of a crew coming in under those conditions, and staff members were reportedly confused by the entire story. They didn't recognize the event Meghan described. Nothing about the setting matched their procedures at the time. Even basic details, like visitor policies, clashed with what Meghan implied. Now, while no public press release was issued, multiple reports say officials were quietly distancing themselves from the narrative, which raises an uncomfortable possibility. Was the story exaggerated to create a moment of relatability? Or worse, was it entirely crafted to support a particular image? When institutions start pushing back, that's usually a sign the public version of events doesn't hold up under scrutiny. And that leads us to a much bigger issue. Because this isn't the first time Meghan's storytelling has been called into question. Let's be clear, it's not about the twerking. People aren't upset because she danced. They're asking why something that should have been a simple, cute moment came with so many loose threads. That's the heart of this issue. When small stories fall apart, they point to a bigger pattern. And in Meghan's case, that pattern has been hard to ignore. Whether it's her personal anecdotes, business claims, or brand statements, things often don't line up. One moment she's describing her humble roots. The next, she's referencing exclusive connections and global partnerships. One day, she's a scrappy startup founder. The next, she's a lifestyle mogul with a luxury platform. That's not just storytelling, it's inconsistency. And when audiences feel like they're being fed a curated narrative rather than the truth, even the lightest, most well-meaning stories start to feel hollow. Let's zoom out for a second. The hospital moment didn't come out of nowhere. It followed a string of other awkward missteps. Start with Spotify. Meghan landed a multi-million-dollar podcast deal, then delivered one short-lived show. Insiders say multiple producers walked away. One even described the working environment as chaotic and frustrating. Eventually, Spotify pulled the plug. Netflix, despite signing a high-profile deal years ago, there's been little to show for it. One short docuseries, a few announcements, but no real momentum. And then there's the infamous Jam launch. Meghan introduced a limited edition fruit spread with fanfare and poetic branding, but the rollout was vague, inventory was low, and there were no follow-up products. Some buyers even wondered if it was more of a publicity stunt than a serious business venture. Even her new social media page came with confusion. She said she started it this year, but the account had actually been created in 2022. A simple detail, but an easy one to verify. So why not just tell the truth? Every small mismatch chips away at credibility, and once that starts, it's hard hard to stop. Here's where things get even more frustrating for Meghan and for her audience. Meghan talks a lot about authenticity, about being vulnerable, about sharing her real self. But when she's asked real questions about things like imposter syndrome or business failures, her answers often feel vague or overly rehearsed. Take the podcast moment when someone asked if she ever feels like a fraud, like she doesn't belong. That was a golden opportunity to say, yes, I've doubted myself. But instead, Meghan shut it down, dismissed it, brushed it off. That's not relatability, that's deflection. When someone talks about emotional success, we want to hear about the struggles behind it, not just the polished version. We want to see the journey, not just the destination. But with Meghan, it often feels like we're being shown the end result without any of the bumps along the way. And that disconnect makes it harder and harder for audiences to trust what they're seeing. Now, let's be fair. Meghan still has fans, and a lot of people believe she's been unfairly criticized from the start. They say she's targeted more harshly than others, that her every move is picked apart, and to some extent, they're right. The scrutiny is intense, but here's the thing. Even her supporters are starting to ask questions, because when so many timelines don't match, when so many projects quietly disappear, when so many collaborators walk away, it's not just the critics talking anymore. It's people who wanted to see her succeed, people who defended her, supported her, hoped she'd be the exception to the celebrity branding trap. But that support weakens every time a new contradiction surfaces. And the twerking story, no matter how harmless it seemed, just added fuel to the fire. Because if something that small isn't true, what else isn't? And maybe that's the saddest part. Meghan had something most people only dream of: a platform, global attention, and a clean slate after stepping away from royal duties. She would have built something incredible, a brand that truly connected, a space that felt fresh, thoughtful, and sincere. Instead, the vision feels like a constant rebranding exercise: new titles, new projects, new tones, but never a clear sense of who she really is. And the twerking video, instead of being a relatable moment, now feels like another missed opportunity, another curated scene in a carefully managed story that keeps slipping. Sometimes the truth really is more powerful than the spin, but to share it, you have to be willing to let go of the performance. At the end of the day, no one expects perfection from public figures, not even from someone with a global platform like Meghan Markle. Mistakes happen, stories get told differently over time, details are forgotten. That's human. But there's a difference between being imperfect and being inconsistent in a way that makes people feel like they're being misled. And that's what's driving so much of the current backlash. People aren't upset that Meghan danced or shared a behind-the-scenes clip. They're reacting to a pattern of carefully polished narratives that time and time again don't quite match up with the facts. The issue isn't the dancing, it's the denial when something doesn't align. It's when people ask for clarity and get branding instead of answers. Meghan speaks often about authenticity, emotional resilience, and building something that matters. And in theory, that's admirable. But when viewers try to follow the journey, they find a trail full of half-explained ventures, vanished partners, and timelines that shift with each new interview. What's missing isn't beauty, ambition, or even talent. It's grounded honesty, the kind that says, yes, I was given a massive platform, and here's what I'm doing with it. Not pretending it all came from scratch, not dressing up a royal springboard as some kind of startup hustle. Imagine how different things might feel if she just leaned into the truth. What if, instead of dodging the royal connection, she embraced it? What if she said, yes, marrying into the royal family gave me opportunities most people could never dream of, but I want to do something meaningful with that advantage? That kind of statement could change everything. Because here's the thing, people don't resent privilege, they resent denied privilege. When someone is clearly benefiting from a title, a spotlight, or a history, and then acts like it's all self-made, that disconnect creates distance. And distance is the opposite of what builds trust. If Meghan truly wants to position herself as a modern Martha Stewart or Gwyneth Paltrow, someone who turns their personality into a lasting brand, then she has to be willing to get real about what fuels that brand. Martha went through public challenges and came back stronger because she didn't run from the truth. Gwyneth is polarizing, but she owns her identity completely. Crystals, detoxes, and all. Whether you like them or not, you know who they are. Drop your thoughts in the comments. We're diving in with you. And if you want more honest, in-depth breakdowns like this one, make sure to like, share, and subscribe because we're just getting started. Let's keep peeling back the layers together.